We're beginning a new book today, Magic Eyes Only, Earth's Encounters with Extraterrestrial Technology by Ryan S. Wood. Expensive little book if you want to try and find it for yourself. And it went for $30 in 2005. Now it's going for $200. This book is dedicated to those who have lost their lives for the sake of UFO secrecy. Top Secret Magic Eyes Only. Warning, this is a top secret Magic Eyes Only document containing compartmentalized information essential to the national security of the United States. Eyes only access to the material herein is strictly limited to personnel possessing Majic, MAGIC, 12 clearance level. Examination or use by unauthorized personnel is strictly forbidden and is punishable by federal law. Removal of any pages from this document or examination by authorized persons requires written authorization from the MJ-12 OPNAC Operations Officer. Reproduction in any form or taken or written or transcribed notes is strictly forbidden. This notation is a replica of the security warning page from the April 1954 Special Operations Manual entitled Extraterrestrial Entities and Technology, Recovery and Disposal. Preface. This historic book is the most complete public inventory to date of human encounters with non-human technology fallen to Earth. Future readers will understand what officials today do not admit. Humankind is not the only marvelous mind in the Milky Way. It is fascinating to seek the truth of this astonishing claim. It is also difficult. The phenomena themselves are rare, and often authorities ridicule the facts and impede research. In The Structure of Scientific Revolutions, Thomas Kuhn describes how normal science often suppresses fundamental novelties, and conventional research is often a strenuous and devoted attempt to force nature into the conceptual boxes. How much more this must be true when the new data, rarefied but compelling evidence, violates not only academic dogma but also subverts political, economic, and moral assumptions. If these anomalous data are true, the Earth is not ours alone. This is not a unique claim, after all. If most religious believers believe what they say, this is the message they profess, but very few take it seriously. Yet it may be easier to accept the spiritual intangibles which culture accepts than to acknowledge the surprising, unorthodox tangibles that culture rejects. While less than divine, perhaps other intelligent life has touched our planet. How ridiculous! So say the keepers of convention. They give little time to uncomfortable facts and numerous case histories. They ignore or belittle the evidence. Ryan Wood has paid close attention to the evidence. In partnership with his father, accomplished aerospace physicist Dr. Robert Wood, Ryan has worked with clarity and persistence to tell us what we must consider in the next phase of human development. For good or for ill, other minds in the galaxy have come to visit. Will this change one's route to work or lower one's household bills? Not today. Yet what if possibilities in a wider community would realign power on Earth? And beyond escapist speculation, what if this encounter with new technology and culture requires a new level of responsibility and human maturity? This might be difficult. As you read Ryan Wood's summary of cases where visitors have faltered to Earth, allow yourself to draw your own conclusions. Ask yourself 3 questions. Number 1, do you think human science and culture are the highest possible in the universe? Number 2, do you think trillions of ancient stars whose far planets are just now being found by science can grow no civilization with the cleverness and desire to launch voyages of discovery, acquisition, enlightenment, and sometimes error? Number 3, Do you think governments tell all the truth all the time and allow such truths to loosen their grip on authority and undermine their assertions of reality? You can hone your thoughts by these questions against the reports by competent persons of evidence that non-human craft have come to Earth. Some now in possession of institutions consider the motives of such institutions faced with the hints of vast technologies and the dilemma of uncertain intentions. Ask yourself finally, what is next for our beautiful planet and the emerging human mind? John S. Hale, Shepherdstown, West Virginia, July 2005. The Structure of Scientific Revolutions, Thomas S. Kuhn, University of Chicago Press, 1996, 3rd edition. Forward. Do flying saucers come from Mars or Venus? This was the burning question in the 1950s, at least for those who were paying close attention to the flaps over spherical disks reported in the skies across America. By the 1960s and 70s, we had become more sophisticated. The question became, do UFOs come from Alpha Centauri or Zeta Reticuli 4? Now, early in the 21st century, we are even more sophisticated. The question has now become, do UFOs come from another galaxy or another dimension or even another time period? The answer to all these questions appears to be yes. Perhaps all of the above is true, as well as some other sources we haven't even imagined as yet. Due to the government's policy of denial and ridicule imposed on the American public since at least the time of World War II, few people and even fewer credible scientists have been willing to make a serious study of the ubiquitous UFOs. In fact, for many years, many people, including this writer, gave serious consideration to the claim that UFOs did not exist at all, that they were simply hallucinations or perhaps some mass psychosis. Of course, if UFO sightings represented some heretofore undiagnosed and contagious mass psychosis, that certainly should have qualified as a big news story, and the object of intense scientific scrutiny. But this did not happen since, with the advent of the personal camcorder, hardly a day passes without someone somewhere in the world taking clear video of UFOs. And we all know you cannot take a photograph or video of a hallucination. Lieutenant General Nathan F. Twining of the United States Air Material Command summed it all up as far back as September 1947 when he wrote, "The phenomenon reported, UFOs, is something real and not something visionary or fictitious." Between 1947 and today, the list of official and credible sources speaking to the reality of UFOs has grown weighty. Astronomer Dr. J. Allen Hynek, one of the first scientists used a government-sponsored debunker, came to understand that he was dealing with something out of this world. Those who still hold that the entire subject of UFOs is nonsense will be sorely challenged if they have the courage to take an honest look, he wrote. Astronauts Gordon Cooper and Brian O'Leary have publicly told of UFO experiences, while Dr. Edgar Mitchell, the sixth man to walk the moon, has even stated that some of our current technology has been gained from reverse-engineered extraterrestrial craft and artifacts. Even presidents have weighed in on the subject. "One thing's for sure," stated President Jimmy Carter, who spoke openly about his own UFO experience. "I'll never make fun of people again who say they've seen unidentified flying objects in the sky. After decades of public conditioning through books, periodicals, movies, and TV shows following the path of Star Trek and Star Wars, current national polls indicate that those who do not believe in life outside this earth are significantly dwindling. Most polls indicate that more than 80% of the U.S. population now believes there is life outside our planet. Most people, however, still hesitate to confront the UFO issue head on, largely due to the fact that the corporate mass media steadfastly refuses the presence of UFOs as a serious issue. And we all know that if the network and cable talking heads are not addressing a subject, it must not exist. One person who has been talking about it for several years now is Ryan Wood. Ryan, along with his father, Dr. Robert M. Wood, has done significant work in recent years by acquiring, analyzing, and verifying infamous Majestic 12 documents leaked to the public over a lengthy period of time. This collection of controversial secret government documents outlines the carefully constructed effort to not only seize and sequester grounded UFOs, but also to deny their very existence while inciting ridicule against anyone who would claim otherwise. With the publication of this work, Magic Eyes Only, Ryan has done a valuable service to all UFO researchers by cataloging and presenting the extraordinarily large number of reported UFO crashes and their retrievals. Ryan himself admits that some, perhaps many of these reports are thinly supported by evidence. But if even half of the more than 74 cases addressed by Ryan Wood are genuine, this represents an incredible number of opportunities for the U.S. government to possess, study, and duplicate UFO technology. UFO literature is rife with accounts of UFO experiences which point to secret government test craft, from the many sightings over Area 51 in Nevada to the well-documented crash Landrum case near Houston, Texas, in which a large floating globe was seen escorted by military helicopters. It seems clear that secret work on UFOs continues within hidden and secure government facilities. Yet, secret government test craft does not explain all UFO reports, such as the 1897 crash of a large silver cigar-shaped object in Aurora, Texas, a story well covered in the Dallas and Fort Worth newspapers. This craft was sighted over most of the western United States by thousands of citizens, and this was 6 years before the Wright brothers first flew at Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. It should be noted that none of America's most prestigious newspapers carried any notice of the Wright brothers' achievements for almost 2 years after the fact, because their experts assured the editors that man could not fly. Many questions remain in the UFO controversy. Scientists ask how interstellar pilots could survive a trip of hundreds of years, while cutting-edge physicists offer speculation of deep space wormholes and the use of zero-point energy. Addressing the notion that the famous Roswell crash was precipitated by lightning, others argue that no species would build a spacecraft that would be susceptible to mere lightning bolts. On the other hand, some researchers can clearly see that unexpected energy such as a lightning storm might well disrupt a flight propulsion system based on electromagnetic energy, particularly if the craft came from a world that has no lightning. Supporters of the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence SETI program claim that their radio messages have not clearly been answered. There must be little or no life in the universe. Critics counter that any civilization advanced enough to develop interstellar space travel would be too advanced to notice crude radio signals which are almost obsolete in Earth technology. Still, others ask whether any one of us could recognize, much less translate, Morse code signals directed at our homes. The universe is vast, and humankind has barely cracked open the door on all of its wonders. For now, we could not do any better than study the following accounts of UFO crash retrievals and ponder what a reality that includes diverse intelligent life outside our planet might mean for us and future generations. Jim Mars, Springtown, Texas, August 2005. I have a book by Jim Mars. Introduction. There are all sorts of UFO stories: lights in the sky, daylight discs, landed craft, alien abductions, and crashed UFOs. These are worthy of rigorous study. However, the focus of this book is on the nuts and bolts of the matter, the evidence of crashed UFOs. I choose this because it directly addresses the essential public relations problem of ufology. Without clear physical evidence in the form of crashed extraterrestrial hardware or alien bodies, there is little progress in fully exposing the cosmic Watergate. At the heart of this book is the notion that unidentified flying objects, UFOs, have crashed to the Earth for a variety of reasons, and that selected military and world governments have taken keen interest in capturing, retrieving, and exploiting these celestial gifts, as General George C. Marshall called them in a 1942 memo. Why such advanced extraterrestrial craft would travel so far, presumably across our galaxy, only to foul up so badly as to crash on planet Earth, is a reasonable question. There is no definite answer to this question, only speculation as to why UFOs sometimes crash. Yet this book provides data that there have been at least 74 UFO crashes, and it is data that cannot be ignored or dismissed. Certainly, the cases in this book vary in quality and detail. Some are astonishing, and serious readers can proceed from these summaries to detailed accounts in the sources cited. These cases are much more substantial than popular opinion leads us to believe. Other cases have uncertain merit where witnesses, documents, overall quality, length, sophistication, and believability may be lost to time or simply mistaken. Some, however, give tantalizing hints, parts of the larger pattern that this book unveils, where research may discover further proof that extraterrestrials and their vehicles have been crashing to Earth. So why might UFOs crash to Earth? The simplest thought is that highly advanced civilizations are not perfect, and accidents occur during perilous flights. Just as human spaceflight suffers accidents and crashes, generally accepted theories in the UFO literature include that large lightning strikes are a form of powerful raw energy that could overwhelm the sensitive instrumentation and navigation technology of extraterrestrial ET craft. The primary case of this type is the famous Roswell crash. In fact, multiple crashes in the middle of one of New Mexico's ferocious desert lightning storms, or perhaps our early development and deployment of high-power radar, particularly in New Mexico, where we developed guided missiles and atomic bombs, could have interfered with normal craft operations. Nor can we rule out man's deliberate attempts to shoot them down using proximity-fused anti-aircraft shells that were innovated to devastating effect in World War II, and later guided surface-to-air missiles, SAMs, even conceivably with tactical nuclear warheads. Beyond this, the idea of deliberate seeding of super-advanced technology on emerging kindergartening planet Earth cannot be ruled out, nor the uber logic of cybernetic alien biological entities willing to explore the cosmos irrespective of their life, cost, or consequences. In fact, the anti-aircraft shell scenario seems to have been at work during the event referred to as the Los Angeles air raid. At about 2:25 a.m. on February 25, 1942, air raid sirens awoke thousands throughout Los Angeles, who for nearly an hour observed the 37th Coast Artillery Brigade fire anti-aircraft guns at a large unknown aerial object suspended in the beams of searchlights. This event was so spectacular that it appeared on the front page of the Los Angeles Times. The aftermath We now have a leaked photocopy of a document mailed to researchers postmarked Sacramento, California, with a return address of the Police Officers Association. The contents are dated March 5th, 1942, in which General George C. Marshall, the Chief Staff of the Armed Forces, writes a top-secret memorandum to President Roosevelt stating, here, that's what they're talking about. As indicated in my February 26th memorandum to you regarding the air raid over Los Angeles, it has been learned by Army G2 that Rear Admiral Anderson, Director of Naval Intelligence, has informed the War Department of a naval salvage of one unidentified airplane off the coast of California that, unlike the raid, has no bearing on conventional explanation. Further investigation has revealed that the Army Air Corps also recovered a similar object in the San Bernardino Mountains east of Los Angeles, which cannot be identified as a conventional aircraft. This headquarters has come to a determination that the mystery airplanes are in fact not earthly, and according to secret intelligence sources, they are in all probability of interplanetary origin. As a consequence, I have issued orders to Army G2 that a special intelligence unit be created to further investigate the phenomena and report any significant connection between recent incidents and those collected by the Director of Office of Coordinator of Information. I have further ordered a thorough investigation of all War Department files regarding unconventional aerial phenomena reported since 1897 and what exists in public domain on the subject. At present, GHQ has no further information which would invalidate this conclusion. Pending any further notification, investigation into this matter shall be limited to those who have been authorized by you. This memo states not only that multiple aircraft were found 5 years before the now famous Roswell incident, but cites unconventional aerial phenomenon reported since 1897. This date is unexpected. It was not until 1972, 30 years after the Marshall Memo, that research by distinguished journalists and author Jim Marrs began to lay out the true dimensions of the crash reported in the small community of Aurora, Texas on April 17, 1897. That is the first case presented in this book. Marshall's memo in question is shown at left. It's not even really worth showing. From a questioned document perspective, other hallmarks of authenticity should also be mentioned. The unique Office of Chief of Staff OCS file number in the upper left corner, including numerical reference to another document known to be authentic and released through official channels about the Los Angeles air raid just 2 weeks before this. OCS file numbering system changed to the War Department. The numbering system, just 2 weeks before this, OCS file numbering system changed to the War Department numbering system. The line spacing, typeface, carbon paper, smear, and formatting are all consistent with Marshall's correspondence of the era. And here's the text under the document. March 1942, top secret memorandum from General Marshall to President Roosevelt concerning the Los Angeles air raid and later UFO recoveries leading to formation of a top secret UFO intelligence unit. This is an inflection point in history and begins the process of creating one of the most secret enterprises the world has ever seen, including Interplanetary Phenomenon Unit, IPU. The most important note that the IPU is not speculation. On September 25, 1980, the Army's Director of Counterintelligence replied to veteran UFO researcher Richard Hall's Freedom of Information Act FOIA request. In a moment of candor, the reply stated the Interplanetary Phenomena Unit of the Scientific and Technical Branch, Counterintelligence Directorate, DA, Department of the Army, was disestablished during the late 1950s. All records pertaining to this unit were surrendered to the U.S. Air Force Office of Special Investigation. Later in 1984, in the odd manner that rare UFO admissions can lead to retractions and stonewalling, a new director of counterintelligence replied to another researcher that the IPU was never a unit in the formal military sense, and may not ever had any formal records at all. Then again, on April 9, 1990, in reply to yet another researcher's FOIA request regarding the no records from this non-unit, the Army's Intelligence and Security Command at Fort George G. Meade, Scientific and Technical Branch Counterintelligence Directorate, Department of the Army, records pertaining to the unit were surrendered to the Air Force Office of Special Investigation in conjunction with Operation Blue Book. We can say this: General Marshall's call for a new intelligence unit to investigate craft of probable interplanetary origin was followed by creation of just such a unit. The issue of whether IPU was a unit in the military sense can be further assessed from two leaked documents from 1947. First, in Top Secret Field Order number 0862, transmitted on July 4, 1947, from IPU headquarters, the Assistant Chief of Staff for Intelligence ordered a team specified as an officer in charge, non-commissioned officer in charge, aeronautical engineer scientist, security and medical doctor, to depart Andrews Army Airfield, AAF, outside Washington, D.C., to Condron, AAF, near White Sands, New Mexico. The IPU team was ordered to report directly to the War Department G2 Head of Intelligence, coordinate with the head of the 4th Army Counterintelligence Corps. Make any inquiry cleared for a final report by July 28th. Such a report appeared on July 22, 1947, marked Top Secret Ultra under the authority of Assistant Chief of Staff for Intelligence, General Stevens J. Chamberlain. The report full document